Welcome back to the deep dive. Normally when we sit down for one of these, we're working with a pretty standard set of materials.
Right. It's usually, a stack of polished articles, maybe a nonfiction book that's been through rounds of edits.
Exactly. We get stuff from the Atlantic, maybe some peer-reviewed studies. It's all been gate kept. It's been edited and sanitized and packaged for people like us to consume.
It's the finished product, the director's cut, so to speak.
But today,
Look,
today is completely different. We are looking at raw data. And I don't mean data like spreadsheets and numbers. I mean raw, unfiltered human expression.
it really doesn't get much raw than this. We're not analyzing a biography written about someone. We're not critiquing a journalist's profile of a subculture.
No.
We are looking at the primary source documents. We have personal ads. We have prayer requests, and what I can only describe as um, theological manifestos. And they're all written by one single individual.
And when you say manifestos, just to be clear, we are not talking about some political treatise or a 50-page academic paper.
No, not at all.
We're talking about the manifesto of a lonely heart. We're stepping into the incredibly specific sometimes, I mean, let's be honest, sometimes uncomfortable, but deeply fascinating world of a man named Anthony Wayne Hayes III.
He's a 24-year-old from Lincoln County, Kentucky, who also goes by the online moniker Moonguy.
Moonguy, we'll get to that. But first, I think we need to be really clear about our mission for this deep dive.
Absolutely. We are not here to gawk. We're not here to make fun of a guy on the internet.
No.
We are here to use these documents as a case study. Because when you strip away the formatting errors and the unique phrasing, what you have is a portrait of extreme vulnerability.
That's what hooked me. It's the vulnerability. It's just so out there.
It's a case study in human longing. We're going to look at how a young man in the modern rural South builds his identity using three very distinct, very rigid building blocks.
Okay.
First, his medical diagnoses. Second, a very binary theological worldview. And third, a specific, almost industrial list of requirements for a romantic partner.
It's this wild intersection of disability, fundamentalist religion, and just the brutal reality of modern dating.
It really is.
And the thing that struck me immediately reading through these, and we have quite a few documents here, is the absolute lack of a filter.
There is no PR agent involved here.
Yeah.
Not even a friend saying, hey, maybe you should rephrase that.
None. Zero.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, think about it. When you or I write a dating profile or even just a tweet, we're curating, we're performing.
Of course.
We want to be the chill girl or the successful guy or the witty observer. We hide the messy parts. Anthony. He is putting his entire medical history, his spiritual rap sheet, and his deepest insecurities on the table before he even says hello.
It's kind of radical honesty. But as we dig in, I think you'll see it's not just honesty for honesty's sake. It's a strategy.
A strategy? How so?
He is trying to solve problems before they happen. He's trying to engineer a life, or at least a relationship, that can accommodate who he is without any surprises.
So let's set the table for you listening. What exactly are we looking at here? What is in this stack of papers?
We have a collection of text documents. Some of them have titles that sound very liturgical. Things like a covenant prayer or a Kentucky prayer for holy matrimony.
Okay, so prayers.
And these are clearly directed vertically. These are conversations between Anthony and God. He's petitioning the Almighty. He's asking for divine intervention.
But then you shuffle the papers a bit and you find things like the Gospel of Anthony or the Search for Love.
Right. And those are directed horizontally.
Towards people.
Towards people. They're directed at the public, specifically the single women of Kentucky. It's this bizarre mix of a sermon and a Craigslist ad.
It's like he's shouting from the pulpit and the town square at the same time.
And that duality is key. He's telling God what he needs, and he's telling the women what he offers. But the fascinating thing, and we'll see this as we go through the sections, is the consistency.
What do you mean?
The details don't change. Whether he's talking to the creator of the universe or a potential date he hopes is reading online, the data points remain exactly the same. The list is the list.
Wow. Okay, so let's meet the protagonist. Let's unpack who Anthony Wayne Hayes III actually is, based entirely on his own words.
Based on the text, we can build a pretty high-fidelity profile. He's 24 years old. And that age is important. He's technically Gen Z, but his writing style, his worldview, feels much older.
It feels very old school.
It does. And he identifies heavily with his location, Lincoln County, Kentucky. He calls himself a country boy multiple times.
And country boy isn't just a geographic marker for him, is it? It feels like more than that.
Oh, it's a whole cultural identity. It's a moral stance. In his world, being a country boy implies simplicity, tradition, maybe hard work. It's a way to set himself apart from the city, which, in narratives like this, is often a stand-in for corruption or confusion.
It's his brand.
It's one of the core brands, yes. But the very first thing he usually leads with, often before his age or his location, is his faith. A follower of Jesus Christ for my whole life. That is his primary identifier. It's the lens through which he sees everything else. And notice the wording. He doesn't just say, I'm a Christian. He says he's a follower.
Which implies action. It's not passive.
Exactly. It implies a journey, a daily commitment. But then, immediately after that spiritual resume, he pivots to something you almost never see in a dating profile or a public prayer. He drops his medical file on the table.
And this is where, for me, the deep dive gets really, really interesting.
He lists his diagnoses explicitly. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, and spina bifida occulta.
I'll admit, I had to look up spina bifida occulta. I knew what spina bifida was, but the occulta part was new to me. It's often called hidden spina bifida.
That's right. It's the mildest form of the condition. It doesn't always present with major visible disabilities, though it can cause things like back pain or other minor physical issues. But for Anthony, it's a headline. It's right up there, front and center.
He pairs it right next to the ASD. And he doesn't just list the ASD label like a tag on a blog post. He explains it. He operationalizes it for the reader.
This is what I call the user manual approach. He isn't just saying, I have autism. He is explaining, here is how my specific brand of autism functions in the wild. Here's what you need to know to interact with me.
Let me read the specific quote because it's so precise. He writes that he only has signs of ASD in specific situations. He lists them out. 1, too many crowds of people.
Okay, sensory overload. It's a common trait.
2, talk different topics, which I take to mean he has difficulty switching subjects quickly.
Cognitive flexibility.
Right. And then this one just floored me. Have a hard time to know when someone is done talking so I can speak up.
Think about the level of self-awareness that requires. He has analyzed his own social interactions, he has identified the failure points, and now he is communicating them in advance.
That last one about not knowing when someone is done talking, it just stopped me in my tracks. He's basically saying, hey, future girlfriend or wife, if I interrupt you, it's not because I'm rude.
It's not because I don't care what you're saying.
It's because my brain literally cannot detect the auditory gap or the social cue that signals it's my turn to speak.
Exactly. He's managing expectations. He's trying to preemptively solve arguments that haven't even happened yet. You can almost hear the echoes of past conversations, can't you? He's probably been told he's a bad listener or that he's self-centered.
And this is his solution. Just put it all out there. This is a bug in my operating system. Please be aware of it.
And it connects directly to what he asks for in a partner. It's not a coincidence. In the prayer documents, he asks God to find him a woman who will understand him and specifically be patient when he misses social cues.
It's heartbreakingly practical. He isn't asking for a supermodel. He isn't asking for a genius or someone with a great job. He is asking for a translator.
A translator, that's the perfect word for it.
Tell me more about that.
He needs a safe harbor. He knows the world is loud and chaotic and full of these unwritten rules that he can't quite see or process in real time. He wants a wife who can act as the interface between him and that chaos.
Someone who won't penalize him for his neurology.
Yes, someone who allows him to mask off, to be himself without the constant exhausting fear of getting it wrong. He's looking for a person who makes the world quiet enough for him to exist in.
Wow. Okay, and then layered on top of the country boy and the medical patient, we have Moonguy.
Ah, yes, Moonguy.
He signs off one of the documents as Anthony W. Hayes III, and then there's this crossed out bit that's still legible, aka Moonguy.
It adds this fascinating layer of digital identity. It's a crack in the very serious facade. Anthony Wayne Hayes III is the formal legal subject. That's the name on the medical chart. That's the name in the covenant prayer.
But Moonguy.
Moonguy is the avatar. It sounds like a gamer tag.
It almost certainly is. It reminds us that for all this very heavy, very adult searching, he's still a 24-year-old guy on the internet.
Right. He's probably on forums, maybe playing Minecraft or Call of Duty, trying to create a cool persona alongside this very serious real-world search for a wife. It's a touch of personality.
It's an identity that isn't defined by his disability or his piety.
Exactly. It shows he has an imagination outside of his very strict religious and medical definitions of self.
So we have the medical context, and we have this little hint of a digital persona. But we cannot talk about Anthony without talking about the war he believes he's fighting every single day.
The theology of Anthony Hayes. This is absolutely critical to understanding any of these texts. You have to understand the stakes for him.
And the stakes are cosmic. He paints a world that is completely black and white. There is no gray area in his Lincoln County. It is Jesus versus Satan.
It's a profoundly binary worldview. He describes himself as a sinner man in the past who is now committed to follow you, meaning God. But the way he describes his interactions with evil is, well, it's almost cinematic. It's tangible. He's not talking about abstract temptation.
No, he talks about actual deals with the devil. He says, and this is a quote, Satan tried to sell my soul twice.
The deal with the devil motif. It's classic folklore, Robert Johnson at the Crossroads. But for Anthony, this isn't a metaphor. This is autobiography.
And look at the specific temptations. Attempt number 1. Satan tried to sell him a soul for fortune and fame.
The classic Faustian bargain. I'll make you a rock star. I'll make you rich. Just sign on the dotted line. And Anthony says he refused. He chose piety over prosperity.
But attempt number 2. This is where we see the hierarchy of his desires. This is where the curtain gets pulled back on what he truly wants.
This is the one. The second time Satan was trying to sell me my soul for a woman.
Wow! Just let that sink in. In his mind, a woman, companionship, romance, sex, love is on the same level of temptation as all the fortune and fame in the world.
Or perhaps even higher. Because he listed second as the follow-up offer. The devil came back with what he thought was a better deal.
The ultimate temptation.
It shows you how desperate this longing for connection is. He views his own desire for a partner as something so powerful, so all-consuming, that it could be weaponized by the enemy to entrap his very soul.
So it frames his loneliness as a form of spiritual warfare. Being single isn't just bad luck or social awkwardness. It's a state of being actively tested by the forces of darkness.
Exactly. And he notes that he refused for Jesus. He is waiting for the sanctioned woman, the God-given woman, not the temptation woman. He wants the blessing, not the bargain.
But he doesn't claim to be a saint. He doesn't claim to be perfect in this war. We have to talk about the Walmart incident.
The Walmart incident. This is honestly one of the most fascinating little morality plays I've ever read, and it's just tucked into a personal ad.
So he writes, Satan got me to steal gift cards at Walmart, and I did.
He admits it flat out.
Yeah.
And I did. No excuses. But look at the resolution. What did he do with the gift cards?
He went home, threw them in the trash, and asked Jesus for forgiveness.
This is so important. He didn't spend them. He didn't sell them. The theft was not for financial gain.
So why do it? And why throw them in the trash? Why not, I don't know, return them? Or just use them if he's already committed the sin?
Because for Anthony, I think the act of stealing was the test, not the value of the item. To keep them would be to profit from the sin. To return them might involve a complex social confrontation that he, with his ASD, can't handle. Imagine trying to explain that to a store manager.
That's a really good point. Hi, Satan made me steal these, but then Jesus made me feel bad, so here they are.
Right. It's an impossible conversation. But trashing them, that's a ritual cleansing. It's a private act of repentance.
It's like he's physically discarding the sin itself. He's throwing the temptation, the physical object of his failure, into the garbage.
Precisely. He was tested, he fell, and his immediate reaction was twofold. Physical repentance, throwing away the ill-gotten gains, and spiritual repentance, asking for forgiveness.
You know, it's relatable in a very strange way. I mean, the details are specific, but the feeling of doing something you know is wrong, feeling that immediate hot wash of guilt and just wanting to undo it, it's a universal human experience.
It shows a conscience that is very much alive and very sensitive. He's not a bad boy trying to look tough. He's a believer who struggles, fails, and then immediately tries to get back on the path. He calls himself a sinner man in the past. But this Walmart story feels recent. It suggests he sees his life as a constant, active navigation of these tests.
So he's battled Satan, he's resisted the temptation of the devil woman, he's repented for the gift cards, and now he feels he is ready for the reward. He is ready for the wife. And let me tell you, he has a list.
Oh, he has a list. This is where the country boy meets the project manager.
He is not just casting a wide net saying, I'm lonely, anyone will do. He has a checklist that would rival a corporate hiring manager for a CEO position.
Let's run through the demographics first, the basic qualifications.
Okay. She must be single, she must be in her 20s, and she must be a Christian. But not just any Christian.
No, specifically Christian just like me.
And what does that signal to you?
It signals a very specific brand of likely evangelical or fundamentalist Christianity. He isn't looking for a progressive Christian or a casual cultural believer. He wants someone who lives inside that same Satan versus Jesus battlefield. someone who speaks the language.
And location. She has to be near Lincoln County, Kentucky.
Geography is destiny for him. He's not looking for a long-distance pen pal or an online romance. He wants a physical presence in his immediate vicinity.
But then we get to the socioeconomic requirements, and this is where the contradictions really start to pop up.
This was surprising to me, too. He insists she must be independent. She needs to have, quote, her own place and her own vehicle.
No, let's pause here. Usually, in the kind of traditional patriarchal circles that Anthony seems to align with, the man prides himself on being the provider.
Absolutely. The archetype is man works, man buys house, man drives truck, woman makes the house a home. Anthony flips this completely on its head.
So why do you think that is? What's going on there?
Well, let's look at the clues. In another document, he mentions he lives not too far from Lincoln County, which is a bit of a strange phrasing. It implies he might not be the head of his own household yet. It sounds like someone describing their location relative to where their parents live.
You think he lives at home?
It's a very strong possibility. If he doesn't drive, which is implied by the absolute necessity of her having a vehicle, and he doesn't own a home, he's sort of stuck in a state of suspended adolescence.
So he needs a partner to bridge that gap for him.
He needs a partner to provide the infrastructure for the life he envisions. He has the dream of being a patriarch, but he doesn't have the physical foundation for it.
So he wants to be the patriarch, but he needs a matriarch to fund the operation, or at least provide the capital assets.
In a way, yes. He brings the spiritual leadership, the devotion, the man of the house energy. She brings the actual house and the keys to the car.
It's a functional necessity. He needs a driver. He needs a homeowner. It's interesting because the term independent woman can sometimes be a red flag for men with very traditional views. But for Anthony, an independent woman isn't a threat. She's a rescue boat.
She's the solution to a logistical problem. But there is one area where he demands she not be independent at all, and that is in her biology.
Right. We have to talk about the no kids rule and the other rule.
Without no kids, it's a double negative, but we get the clear intent. He wants to start completely fresh. No stepchildren.
He doesn't want to raise another man's legacy. He wants a blank slate.
A blank slate is the perfect way to put it, which leads us to the most specific, biologically explicit, and frankly jarring requirement in the entire collection of texts. It appears in almost every single document.
Whose body is ready to bear children, tubes untied?
Tubes untied. It's such a clinical, almost crude phrase to see in a prayer or a personal ad.
He doesn't just say wants kids or wants to start a family. He specifies the medical status of her fallopian tubes.
This creates a fascinating tension. He's looking for a woman in her 20s who presumably hasn't had kids yet, hence the no kids rule. But he's worried about tubal ligation.
I mean, how many childless women in their early 20s have had their tubes tied? It's extremely rare. Most doctors won't even perform that procedure on a young childless woman if she asks for it.
It's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
So what is he actually saying here? I have a few theories. One, he might just have a fundamental misunderstanding of female anatomy or medical procedures.
That's possible.
Two, he might have encountered one person in his life who had this procedure and it became a fixation, a fear. Or three, and this is what I lean towards, he's using tubes untied as a kind of clumsy shorthand, a code for proven fertility or no biological impediments.
It's the biological imperative turned up to 11.
It really is. He says explicitly in another part, body is ready to bear children. And his reason is to raise a family in your ways.
This is the core of the mission for him. The search for a wife is intrinsically and inseparably linked to the search for a mother for his future children.
Yes. He talks about legacy. He wants to bring new life into the world to be raised in your truth. For Anthony, a marriage without the explicit, confirmed possibility of children might not even be considered a valid marriage in his eyes.
So he needs proof of capacity. He needs to know the factory is open for business before he even considers the purchase.
It's a crude way to put it, but from his perspective, I think that's exactly right. He's trying to eliminate any risk of not being able to fulfill what he sees as a core biblical mandate.
Which brings us to his view of marriage itself. It's not just a partnership for him, it's something else. He talks about the one flesh concept.
This is where the theology gets intensely physical.
He quotes the Bible, and the two shall become one flesh. But he takes it. He takes it so literally.
He does. He writes, I believe a marriage is all in one, like a man and woman into one. It's not a metaphor for him.
And then he defines it. He says, when I get married, I promise that all of my body parts is hers, and all of her body parts is mine.
It's a complete and total dissolution of boundaries. Now, Think about this in the context of his autism again.
Okay.
If you struggle with social cues, with the separation between people, with reading intentions, with the constant noise of the outside world, what could be more appealing than a union where that separation completely vanishes?
A safe space where he and another person literally become the same entity.
Exactly. If we are one flesh, I don't need to guess what you're thinking, because your thoughts are my thoughts. Your body is my body. It's the ultimate relief from the exhaustion of social masking.
That's a really profound way of looking at it. It's a beautiful, if very intense sentiment. But he doesn't stop at the sentiment. He gets into the mechanics of the thing.
And we have to discuss this because it's a huge part of the text. These documents are surprisingly explicit for prayer requests.
Yeah, he talks about wanting to sleep side by side, naked, and to share their bodies. It's very direct.
And the reproduction aspect. He explicitly mentions he wants to get to her egg.
Get to her egg. Again, so clinical. And then he adds, she'll moan because she likes it.
Now, a cynical listener might read this and just think it's creepy or pornographic. But I want to push back on that interpretation.
Okay, how so?
If we look at it through the lens of Anthony's established no-filter user manual style of communication, it's actually it's him stating biological facts. He isn't trying to be lewd in a traditional sense. He's being technical.
Right. It's like he's writing out a flowchart. Step 1, man and woman become one flesh. Step 2, sleep naked. Step 3, get to her egg. Step 4, baby.
Exactly. To Anthony, sex, reproduction, and spiritual union are all the same thing. They're inseparable parts of a single God-ordained process. He views the mechanics of sex as the fulfillment of the spiritual mandate to be fruitful and multiply. He's not using euphemisms like making love or being intimate, because in his mind, why would you hide a process ordained by God?
It's a raw honesty about male desire, but framed entirely within this religious container. He isn't asking for a hookup. He is outlining the duties and privileges of a wife within his specific covenant.
And that detail, she'll moan because she likes it, while jarring, does suggest he cares about her experience, or at least his fantasy of her experience. He wants it to be mutual. He's not looking for a passive vessel. He wants an active, willing participant in this one-flesh union.
So we have the marriage, we have the getting to the egg, now we have the result, the family, and Anthony has a very clear vision of what fatherhood looks like for him.
He does. And this, again, challenges some of the stereotypes one might have about country boys or men with very traditional gender role ideas.
He lists the activities he wants to do as a father: changing diapers, late-night feedings, picking them up from school.
He wants to be in the trenches. He's not describing a hands-off fatherhood where the wife does all the work and he just comes home to be the disciplinarian. He wants to be involved in the gritty, messy, sleep-deprived details of childcare.
That was actually really touching to me. He's not dreaming of playing catch in the yard. He's dreaming of the hard parts of parenting.
Because those parts represent connection. They represent being needed.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a man who may lack independence in other areas of his life, but a baby needs him for everything. He can finally be the protector, the nurturer, the one who provides direct care.
It's a role where he can be unambiguously essential.
Yes. And there's a phrase he uses about raising the kids that I found really interesting. He says he wants to have raised them from the first book.
Right. Raise them from the first book. What do you think that means? It's a little cryptic.
I think it can mean a couple of things. It could be a literal reference to the Bible, the book of Genesis, raising them with the foundation story of his faith from in the beginning.
A biblical education from day one.
Or it could be a more colloquial expression, like saying he wants to raise them by the book or from scratch, meaning doing it right from day one with no prior baggage.
No baggage. That connects back to the no kids rule.
Exactly. No previous parenting mistakes to correct, no stepchildren with conflicting loyalties or different upbringings, just a clean slate to instill his values and his truth. It implies a foundational approach. He wants to build a perfect, secure world for these children, perhaps the kind of secure, unambiguous world he struggles to find for himself outside the home.
And again, you have to contrast this with his need for an independent wife. He needs her to provide the physical structure, the house, the car, but he wants to provide the moral and practical structure for the children. He's carving out his domain.
He is defining his own essential role within the family unit he wants to create.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit and look at the form of these documents themselves, because as we said, we have prayers and we have ads. The voice changes depending on who he's talking to.
The medium is the message, as they say, and the shift is really telling.
Let's start with the prayers. They're written in the third person, which is fascinating. I lift up your servant, Anthony.
He's acting as his own priest, in a way. He's petitioning a higher authority on behalf of himself. In the prayers, his posture is one of humility. He acknowledges his triumph over temptations, but it's framed as something God helped him with.
And he's asking God to do the work. He says, guide her steps to him. It's passive faith.
It is. He puts the request in the celestial suggestion box and waits for the delivery. It's all about divine providence.
But then you flip to the Gospel Anthony or the Search for Love, and the tone shifts completely.
The humility is gone. It becomes a sales pitch. It's in the first person. I am Anthony. And there's a direct address to the audience. Come on, single women.
It's almost like a carnival barker. Come on down to Lincoln County. See the man who defeated Satan.
He's highlighting his assets. He emphasizes his status as a country boy. He makes romantic promises like, show me love in bed. He's trying to sell the package. He's actively marketing himself.
It's the duality of the modern search for love, isn't it? On one hand, you hope fate, or in his case, God brings you the person. You want the magical meet cute.
But on the other hand, you have to put yourself on the market. You have to write the profile, choose the right pictures, optimize your SEO. Anthony's doing both, loudly and simultaneously, in the same document dump.
And that contradiction we talked about earlier about independence, it really comes to a head when you compare the two forms.
It does. In the ads, he projects confidence. I am a country boy, I refused Satan. He's the protagonist of his own epic. But the requirements embedded in that ad reveal the vulnerability.
The need for a woman with her own home and car?
The fact that he lives not too far from Lincoln County, implying he's dependent on others, he is asking for a partner who is already fully established in the adult world, perhaps to pull him into it.
Or to host his adulthood, as you said earlier. He has the spirit and the desire, but he needs the vessel, the house, the car to make that family life a physical reality.
It is an incredibly complex portrait we're left with.
A man who is deeply vulnerable yet extremely demanding, who is profoundly spiritual yet incredibly, almost clinically, biologically explicit.
Who is actively struggling with Satan, but absolutely confident in his ultimate salvation.
Anthony Wayne Hayes III is a man of deep contradictions, but also, as you said at the top, deep consistency. He knows exactly what he wants.
He wants to be known, he wants to be touched, and he wants to leave a legacy.
And at the end of the day, those are universal human needs.
They are, and that's why, despite the odd formatting, the random capitalization, and the jarring tubes untied obsession, this is a deeply, deeply human set of documents.
So why does this matter to us, to you listening? Why spend a whole deep dive dissecting the posts of Moonguy?
Because I think it challenges our completely polished, curated view of dating and relationships. We are so used to the apps where everyone is hiking and loving life and has a perfect bio.
We curate our flaws out of existence. We present a sanitized, optimized version of ourselves and hope someone swipes right.
And Anthony does the exact opposite. He puts his flaws, his medical codes, his past sins, his very specific needs in the headline. It's an act of radical transparency.
It's raw human longing put on display. It reminds us that behind every profile, behind every search for love, is a complex, messy individual with specific fears and spiritual hopes and a whole backstory.
And it forces us to look at the intersection of disability and desire. Our society often desexualizes people with disabilities or assumes they don't want the same things everyone else does: marriage, family, physical intimacy. Anthony's screaming from the digital rooftops, I want a wife. I want to get to the egg. I want to be a father.
He is claiming his right to a biological and spiritual destiny that others might not think he's entitled to.
Precisely.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me as we wrap up. Anthony believes, truly believes, that he refused to deal with Satan for a woman. He chose to wait for God's provision.
He chose the difficult path over the easy one.
So in our world of instant gratification, of swipe right, of hookup culture, what does it mean to view one's romantic destiny as a literal cosmic battle between good and evil?
It raises the stakes of everything, doesn't it? If dating is just a game, then failure's just a bad date. You move on. But if dating is spiritual warfare, if finding a wife is enacting God's will and resisting the wrong one is defeating Satan,
then every interaction is charged with ultimate meaning. Every rejection is a test of faith. Every potential yes is a divine appointment.
It transforms the mundane into the sacred.
And here's the final thought for you to chew on. Is his unfiltered, sometimes clumsy, radically honest approach actually more pure than the sophisticated games the rest of society plays in the dating world.
I think you could make a very strong argument for that. He isn't lying to get a date. He isn't pretending to be someone he's not. He's telling you exactly who he is, exactly what he needs, and exactly what he expects to happen in every aspect of the marriage. You can take it or you can leave it.
And in a way, that's the most respectful thing you can do for a potential partner, to just tell them the truth.
Come on, single women. Anthony Wayne Hayes III is waiting.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. This has been a wild one.
Indeed it has.
We'll catch you next time.
I want you to picture a corkboard for a second. Maybe it's in the back of a humid laundromat or pinned up in a community center hallway.
Right.
Or maybe it's a digital post, on a local classifieds page in rural Kentucky, buried between ads for used lawnmowers and free kittens.
Mm-hmm.
You're scanning past the usual stuff. Someone selling a truck, someone looking for a handyman, and then you hit a document that just stops you cold.
It just jumps out.
It does. It's titled The Search for a Kentucky Bride.
And your first instinct, naturally, is to think, okay, it's a personal ad.
Right.
It's a little old-fashioned, maybe a little quirky, but then you actually start reading the text.
You get into the fine print.
You get into the fine print.
Yeah.
And you realize very quickly that this isn't just a guy looking for a date for Saturday night. It's a man looking for a co-author for his entire existence.
Exactly. We are diving into a stack of documents today that are, honestly, they are difficult to classify.
They really are.
We have personal ads, yes, but we also have prayers written in the third person.
Oh.
We have detailed medical disclosures.
Oh, yeah?
And we have confessions of criminal activity involving Walmart gift cards. All of these documents are written by or about a 24-year-old man named Anthony Wayne Hayes III.
Or, as he styles himself in the fine print of his own signature, Moonguy.
Well, Mumbalike, we're definitely going to get into that nickname.
I have to.
But I want to set the mission for this deep dive right up front. We aren't here to, poke fun at a unique dating profile. We are here to understand the human being behind it.
That's the core of it.
Because when you peel back the layers of these documents, and there are many, many layers, you find a really specific, really intense intersection of things. You have neurodivergence, you have a hyper-religious literalism, and you have this profound, aching, rural loneliness that just radiates off the page.
It is a case study in radical transparency, really. I mean, we live in an era where dating profiles are the most curated things on earth.
Oh, absolutely.
You pick your best angle, you write a witty prompt, you hide your baggage until the third or fourth date.
If you're lucky.
Right. Anthony is doing the absolute opposite. He is putting his medical records, his sins, his darkest fears, and his biological requirements on the table before he even says hello.
It's like he's handing you a user manual for himself and saying, read this before you unbox.
That's a perfect analogy.
So let's open the dossier. We've got the primary text, often titled The Gospel of Anthony, The Kentucky Man's Search for Love, or The Search for a Kentucky Bride. Then we have the supporting text prayers, like a covenant prayer and a note of support regarding his mental health. Let's start with the man himself. Who is Anthony Wayne Hayes III?
Well, let's look at the demographics first, because they ground this entire story in a physical reality. He states clearly, I am single and 24 years old.
24, so still quite young.
Very young. And he lives near Lincoln County, Kentucky. He identifies strongly as a country boy.
Lincoln County is important here, right? We're not talking about downtown Louisville or Lexington. This is a very specific setting.
No, absolutely not. We are talking about rural Kentucky. This is an area where community is tight, traditional values are often central, and the dating pool, just statistically speaking, is significantly smaller than in a metropolitan area.
For sure.
When he mentions Lincoln County, he repeats it. He emphasizes proximity. He isn't looking for a long-distance digital romance where you chat on Discord for 6 months.
No.
He's looking for someone who can physically be in his world, in his geography, now.
Then he creates this persona for himself right away. Anthony W. Hayes III, a.k.a. Moonguy. That Moonguy detail stuck out to me immediately.
Me too.
It feels like a handle you'd use on a forum or a gaming tag. It feels very online, which is an interesting contrast.
It does. It's one of those small mysteries that adds so much texture to the profile. We don't know the origin of Moonguy from the text itself. Is it because he stays up late? Is it a childhood nickname? Is it an internet handle?
It could be anything.
But the fact that he includes it in a formal search for a bride document suggests it's a core part of his identity. It feels playful, maybe a bit youthful.
Yeah.
which contrasts so sharply with the heavy, almost biblical theological language he uses everywhere else.
That's a great point.
It's a reminder that he's 24, he's a young guy in the digital age, even if he's living a very traditional, very rural life.
Right. But then, almost immediately after introducing himself as this country boy Moonguy, he pivots to something that defines a lot of his interaction with the world, his medical history. And I mean, he doesn't just mention it. He drops a medical file on us in paragraph 2. He writes, I have autism spectrum disorder, ASD, and spina bifida occulta.
It is the specificity that gets me. He doesn't just say, I have some health issues or I have a disability. He gives you the chart. He gives you the Latin terms.
I want to pause on the spina bifida occulta part, because for those of us who don't have a medical degree, that sounds intense, but that's not necessarily a wheelchair situation, right? This isn't what people might picture.
No, and that is a crucial distinction to make to understand Anthony's mindset. Spina bifida is a condition where the spine and spinal cord don't form properly, but occulta literally means hidden.
Hidden. Yeah.
It is the mildest form. Many, many people have it and don't even know it. It often doesn't have visible symptoms or maybe just some minor back pain or a small mark on the skin. So the fact that Anthony lists it right next to his name, that is a fascinating psychological choice.
Because he doesn't have to tell anyone. He could just not mention it.
Exactly. He could go on 3, 4, 10 dates without anyone knowing. He could probably get married without it being a major daily issue, depending on the severity. But he chooses to disclose it immediately.
Why? What do you think that's about?
I think it suggests that he views his diagnosis not just as a medical footnote, but as a core pillar of his identity. He's saying, this is the hardware I'm running on. You need to know the specs.
It feels like he's trying to avoid a gotcha moment later. Like he's terrified that if he hides anything, even something invisible like spina bifida occulta, the relationship is built on a lie from the start.
I think that's spot on. It's a preemptive strike against rejection. If he tells you now and you keep reading, then he knows you accept him, flaws and all. He doesn't have to worry about the other shoe dropping on date 5.
The shoe is already on the floor.
The shoe is on the floor, yeah.
He does the same thing with the autism diagnosis. But here, he actually explains the symptoms. And he is incredibly self-aware about it, which is something I found really compelling.
Yeah, he is.
He writes that he only has signs when too many crowds of people talk different topics and have a hard time to know when someone is done talking so I can speak up.
That line is heartbreakingly practical. Just think about the friction of his daily life in that one sentence.
Right.
He knows he interrupts people. He knows it probably annoys them. He likely has a whole lifetime of memories of people getting frustrated with him for talking over them or changing the subject awkwardly.
So he's explaining it up front.
He's trying to get a retroactive permission slip. He's telling a future wife, when I interrupt you, it's not because I don't respect you. It's not because I'm rude. It's because I literally didn't hear the silence. I couldn't read the cue.
It frames the search for a bride as a search for a translator almost. Someone who speaks his language.
A translator. I like that.
And if you look at the prayer texts, specifically a covenant prayer, there's a specific plea for this very thing. The text asks God for a woman who will patient when he misses social cues.
That request for patience is the key. He isn't asking for a woman who will fix his autism. He isn't asking for a cure. He is asking for grace.
Just patience.
Just patience. He knows he is going to miss the social cues. That is a given in his world. It's a non-negotiable part of the package. He just needs a partner who won't punish him for it. And, it shows a level of self-awareness that is actually quite high. He knows his limitations, and he knows he needs a partner who has the emotional bandwidth to navigate them.
So we have this picture of a young man who is deeply honest, medically transparent, and looking for grace. That's the who.
Right.
Now we have to get into the what, because the help wanted ad. The list of requirements for this woman. It is extensive.
Rigorous is a polite way to put it. Demanding might be another. It is a checklist that seems to be pulling in 2 very different directions at once.
Let's break it down. He wants a single woman. She has to be in her 20s. She must be in Kentucky near Lincoln County. And this is a big one. She must be without no kids.
The double negative is there in the text, but the intent is crystal clear.
Absolutely no kids. He wants a clean slate.
Which, in rural Kentucky in your 20s isn't impossible, but it narrows the pool significantly. But then you have to layer on the economic requirements, and that's where it gets really interesting.
This is where I got stuck. This is the paradox for me. He requires a woman who has her own place, and her own vehicle.
Let's just break down the socioeconomics of that for a second. He is looking for a woman in her early 20s,
Right.
in a rural economy, which is not always blooming, who has managed to buy a house, her own place, and a car.
And has somehow avoided the most common life path in that demographic, which is often starting a family young.
He's looking for a unicorn.
He's looking for a unicorn with a mortgage and a clean driving record.
Yes. And notice the contradiction here. He wants her to be financially independent, completely self-sufficient, but the role he describes for her in the prayers is a helpmate.
Then helpmate.
He wants a traditional, submissive, one-flesh dynamic, which we will definitely get into, but he wants her to enter the marriage with the portfolio of a modern, independent career woman.
It's the independent helper paradox. It's like saying, I want you to be strong enough to take care of yourself so I don't have to worry about your bills, but be submissive enough to let me lead the household spiritually.
Precisely. It suggests he is looking for stability above all else. He needs someone who is grounded, someone who isn't bringing drama or financial dependency into his life because he perhaps feels he has enough challenges with his own situation.
That makes sense.
He wants the benefits of a partner who is an equal contributor financially, but the benefits of a partner who is a traditional subordinate spiritually. That is a very, very small target to hit.
A needle in a haystack.
A very specific needle.
And then comes the clincher, the biological requirement. And I have to say, this is the phrase that sticks with me the most. It appears over and over again. He doesn't just say he wants kids. He says he wants a woman with tubes untied.
It is incredibly clinical, isn't it? Tubes untied. It's not romantic language.
It's the opposite of romantic. Looking for a woman who is in her 20s with her own place and tubes untied. It sounds like he's buying a used car. Must have clean title, new tires, tubes untied.
It circles back to that hyperliteralism we see with his neurodivergence. For Anthony, the abstract concept of motherhood or fertility might be a bit fuzzy, a bit hard to grasp, but the biological mechanism, that's concrete.
The plumbing.
The plumbing. To have a baby, the plumbing must be connected. The fallopian tubes must be open. So he puts it on the checklist. He views the woman's body as a vessel that needs to be mechanically ready for procreation.
It's jarring. It really is. But you mentioned earlier that there might be a sweetness hidden in there, too. Because tubes untied doesn't sound very sweet to me.
It's not the phrasing that's sweet, it's the intent behind it.
Yeah.
Look at why he wants the tubes untied.
Okay.
He doesn't just say, I want heirs or I want to carry on the family name. He writes about changing diapers, late night feedings, and picking them up from school.
That's a really important nuance. He's not saying, I want a woman to have kids so she can raise them while I sit on the porch. He's saying, I want to do the late night feedings. He wants to be in the trenches.
Exactly. He's yearning for the complete family unit. The noise, the mess, the school runs. He wants the domestic intimacy of fatherhood. He wants to be an active, present dad. So when he says tubes untied, he's really saying, I want to start the work of being a dad immediately.
So it's an urgent desire.
A very urgent desire. It's a very wholesome desire expressed in very mechanical, almost industrial terms.
It's like he has this beautiful, Norman Rockwell picture in his head of a family, but he only has the vocabulary of a medical textbook to describe how to get there.
That is a perfect way to describe it. And that vocabulary, that literalism, it extends to his spiritual life as well.
Oh, absolutely.
We have to pivot now to the theology of Anthony Wayne Hayes III. Because for him, this search for a wife isn't just happening in Lincoln County. It's happening on a cosmic spiritual battlefield.
The narrative of redemption is central to his identity. But it's not just, I used to be a bad guy and now I'm good. It's, well, it's medieval.
Uh-huh.
It's almost epic.
Yeah.
He views his life as a literal battleground between God and Satan.
The spiritual warfare aspect is heavy in these texts. It's not a metaphor for him. Anthony doesn't view his mistakes as just bad choices or youthful indiscretion. He views them as losing a skirmish with a literal demon. He introduces himself as a sinner man in the past, who is now trying his best. But the specific examples he gives of this sin are fascinating.
Oh, we have to talk about the selling your soul incidents. He mentions this multiple times. He says, I tried to sell my soul to Satan twice.
Twice. And look at the transaction terms. This is key to understanding his value system.
Okay, what were they?
The first time, he says Satan tried to sell him his soul for fortune and fame.
Standard Faustian bargain. We've all heard that one.
Right, the classic deal at the crossroads. But the second time, Satan tried to sell him his soul for a woman.
Wow. Which is incredibly revealing.
Huh?
A woman is placed on the same value tier as fortune and fame.
Exactly. That is how desperate he is for connection. That is how valuable a partner is in his worldview. He perceives the devil offering him a wife as the ultimate temptation, as powerful as all the money and glory in the world.
When he frames it as a direct negotiation, it's not a metaphor for temptation. In his writing, it reads like a literal conversation he had with a red guy with a pitchfork.
It really does. He refused both times, he says, for my Lord Jesus Christ. So he sees himself as a man who has stood face to face with the enemy and said no. He has passed the ultimate tests.
But he resisted that. However, he didn't resist the Walmart incident.
The Walmart incident. It's the centerpiece of his confession. It's his great public sin.
This is the part that really stopped me in my tracks, because it's so specific and almost mundane. He writes, Satan got me to steal gift cards at Walmart, and I did.
Notice the phrasing again. Satan caught me to. It's an external force.
Right, it's not I decided to steal, it's Satan made me do it.
He isn't saying I wanted free stuff so I took it. He's saying I was piloted by an enemy. It externalizes the impulse. But what happens next is what makes Anthony fascinating to me.
He takes the gift cards home. And you'd assume you stole them, you'd use them, right?
That's the point of theft.
Buy groceries, buy a video game, get gas. That's the logic of theft. You steal for the gain.
Right.
But Anthony throws them in the trash.
He destroys the loot. He negates the entire purpose of the crime.
He writes, after that, I throw the gift cards in the trash after I got back home and ask Lord Jesus for forgiveness.
Just think about that sequence of events. He succumbs to temptation. He commits the act. He steals the cards, presumably because he wants the value on them. But then he's overcome by guilt, and viewing this as a spiritual failure, he doesn't use them.
And he doesn't return them, perhaps out of shame or fear of getting caught.
Right. That would be too confrontational. So he throws them in the trash. He physically discards the sin. It's a symbolic act.
It's a performative act of repentance. It's a total rejection of the gain from the sin. He gets nothing from it but the guilt, which he then washes away with repentance.
It is. And by including this in his dating profile, of all places, he is doing something very specific.
What's the strategy there?
He is saying, I am not perfect. I've stolen, but I fixed it with God. He's presenting his moral resume, both the failures and the corrections. He wants a potential wife to know that while he is capable of falling, he is also capable of immediate, drastic correction.
So in his mind, it's actually a point in his favor.
I think so. He believes this makes him a safe bet, a man who polices his own soul so strictly that he will throw money in the trash to stay clean with God.
It's heavy stuff for a dating ad. I have a car, I like movies, and I once threw stolen gift cards in the trash, despite Satan.
It is heavy. But for him, it's necessary disclosure. If you're going to be one flesh with him, you need to know who you are merging with. Sins and all.
Speaking of one flesh,
Yeah.
we have to talk about the bedroom, because Anthony has a very specific, very physical definition of what marriage means. And this is where the text gets the most intense and perhaps the most uncomfortable for the average reader.
We have to look at it through his theological lens. He believes marriage is man and woman into one. That's standard Christian scripture, Genesis 2.24. But he interprets one flesh with absolute concrete literalism.
It's not a metaphor for him.
Not at all.
He writes, when I get married, I promise that all of my body parts is hers and all of her body parts is mine. We share each other body parts and things.
Ownership is the key concept here. It's almost like a business merger. He views marriage as a total merger of assets, and those assets include arms, legs, and reproductive organs.
It's a mutual surrender of bodily autonomy, in a way.
A complete surrender. My hand is your hand, your heart is my heart. It's total, radical union.
And he gets very, very specific about the intimacy. He repeatedly asks for a woman who will sleep in bed with him, specifically to sleep naked. And then there's this line that I have never heard in a romance novel. I don't think I've heard it anywhere. He writes, I get to her egg.
I get to her egg, it lands harshly on the ear, doesn't it? It's so biological.
Well, it sounds like a military objective. Target acquired, I get to the egg. It's not, we'll make a baby or we'll start a family. It's a mission.
It does. But again, remember who wrote this. This is the man who lists spina bifida in his intro. This is the man who lists tubes untied as a requirement. He is stripping away the euphemisms. He isn't interested in the flowery language of making love or becoming soulmates. He is interested in the biological reality of conception. The sperm reaches the egg. That is the success state. That is the mission. It is the literal physical component of becoming one flesh and fulfilling a command to be fruitful and multiply.
And he adds another line that makes you pause. He asserts, she'll moan, because she likes it.
Now, that is the line that makes people uncomfortable. And for good reason. It could be read as controlling, he's dictating how she will react, removing her agency.
That was my first reaction. It sounds like a demand.
It could be, but I think there's another way to read it, which is as a desperate hope for mutual satisfaction.
How so?
I read that as a deep insecurity. He's terrified that he won't be able to please a woman. He's likely inexperienced given his social difficulties and intense focus, so he writes it down as a fact. She will like it, to manifest it, to make it true.
So he's scripting the fantasy.
Yeah, he's scripting the fantasy because the unpredictability of real intimacy is terrifying to him. He wants the validation that he is a good lover, that the one-flesh dynamic actually works for both parties. He's trying to assure himself as much as he's trying to assure the reader.
So it's this blend of innocent longing. I mean, he talks so much about just sleeping side by side, which is just a desire for comfort and closeness, mixed with these stark, clinical, almost alarming descriptions of the mechanics of it all.
It connects back to the neurodivergence, the emotional fuzziness of romance, the subtext, the nonverbal cues. That's hard to pin down. But sleeping naked is a clear rule. Getting to the egg is a clear outcome. He is trying to build a framework for intimacy using the only concrete blocks he understands, theology and biology.
So we have the checklist, the spiritual warfare, and the biology. But lurking underneath all of this is a very real, very painful struggle with mental health. We have a source in the stack called A Lifeline of Hope for Anthony.
This is the most poignant document in the collection, I think. It's a note of support, seemingly from a third party or a community member, and it reveals that the stakes here are life and death.
They really are. The note says, Anthony, you mentioned that the flashbacks still make you feel suicidal at times.
That is a revelation. Flashbacks. It suggests trauma. We don't know what the trauma is. Is it related to the sinner man past? Is it bullying from his childhood due to his social difficulties? Is it something else entirely? We don't know.
But we know he suffers from them, and they're severe enough to trigger suicidal ideation. This isn't a small thing.
Not at all. And the note reminds him of the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. But then it uses a very specific motivation to keep him going, a very targeted piece of encouragement.
That says your future family needs you to stay strong.
That is heartbreaking and powerful. The writer of this note, whoever they are, knows Anthony. They know what his driving force is.
They know his dream.
They know his dream of a wife and kids. So they use that future, that hypothetical family that doesn't exist yet, as the anchor to keep him alive today. Don't give up because your unborn children need you.
Wow. It adds so much pressure to the dating search.
Yeah.
This isn't just about finding a date for the movies or not being lonely on a Friday night.
No.
It feels like he believes finding a wife is the thing that will finally stabilize him. It's the cure for the darkness.
Exactly. If he finds the helpmate, the loneliness ends, the one flesh union begins. He has a purpose changing diapers, being a father, leading a family. Without her, he is left with flashbacks and the solitude. It explains the desperation and the urgency we feel in the search for a Kentucky Bride documents.
He isn't just looking for love, he's looking for a lifeline.
That's the perfect word for it, a lifeline.
This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the community and the prayer. We have these texts like a covenant prayer and a petition for Anthony's divine union that are written in the third person. We ask specifically for a single woman, who is writing these.
It's ambiguous, and I think intentionally so. It could be family members, parents, or church elders who are genuinely praying for him. This is common in tight-knit religious communities, the concept of intercessory prayer.
Right.
They know his struggles. They know his specific desire for a tubes untied, independent woman, and they are petitioning God on his behalf, laying out the specs for the Almighty.
Is it possible Anthony wrote them himself?
It is entirely possible. Writing in the third person can be a form of manifestation or a way to distance oneself to sound more formal or righteous to God. I lift up your servant Anthony. It sounds like a formal legal petition to a celestial court.
So it adds weight to the question.
It adds weight. Whether it's him or a supportive community, the content mirrors his own list exactly. It reinforces that his community, or at least his internal monologue, validates these specific demands. They aren't saying, God, help Anthony be more flexible.
No.
They are saying, God, find a woman who fits this exact, very narrow description.
So let's zoom out. We've looked at the profile, the checklist, the demons, the biology, the mental health struggles, and the prayers. When you step back and look at Anthony Wayne Hayes III, what do you see?
I see a man of profound contradictions. He is vulnerable, yet incredibly demanding. He claims to be a simple country boy, yet he is wrestling with these complex spiritual battles and the daily realities of neurodivergence. He wants to be the head of a household, the protector, yet he needs a woman who's already fully established and independent to enter his world and, in a way, rescue him from his circumstances.
And the way he goes about it, the Gospel of Anthony, he calls it his first book. That's not an accident.
That's the key. He sees his life as scripture in the making. This isn't just a classified ad. This is his personal testament. He is writing his own gospel, and he's looking for a co-author. He's looking for his Mary Magdalene, his Ruth, all rolled into one.
It's the rawness that gets me. In an era where we are all so careful about our image, so curated, Anthony offers total unfiltered transparency. Here is my medical history. Here is my criminal record involving gift cards. Here's exactly what I want to do in bed.
It's radical honesty, a complete rejection of modern dating norms.
Ah.
And it raises a provocative question for all of us, I think.
What's that?
Anthony's looking for a helpmate to save him from loneliness, from his past, from himself. But he asks for this total transparency before the first hello. Can that actually work? Can you list every scar, every sin, and every biological requirement before a first date and still find connection? Or does the weight of all that reality, all that raw data, crush the romance before it even has a chance to start?
That is the question. He's looking for a specific needle in a haystack. An independent, homeowner, childless woman in her 20s in rural Kentucky willing to merge body parts.
Yeah.
And he's using a very loud, very honest, and maybe very jarring magnet to try and find her.
It's a brave strategy, an incredibly vulnerable one. Whether it's a successful one, that remains to be seen.
Anthony, wherever you are in Lincoln County, we certainly hope you find your peace. And for everyone listening, thanks for diving in with us.
It's been a fascinating journey, a really complex one.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I have to say, looking at the stack of papers you've brought in today, I am a little confused.
That's a little.
Okay, a lot. Usually when we do these, there's a theme, right off the bat. It's the history of oil or the future of AI, something cohesive.
Right.
But looking at this table, on my left, I have what look like very intense, color-coded weather maps. I see wind chill charts. I see warnings about something called a clipper system. It honestly looks like the prep desk for the Weather Channel.
It does look a bit like a meteorology exam, doesn't it?
It really does. But then on my right, I have these handwritten notes, typed up manifestos, and social media posts that are, well, they are completely different.
Completely different is one way to put it.
They are raw. They are emotional. I'm seeing headers like search for a Christian wife, spiritual warfare, and detailed lists are these biological requirements.
It is a jarring juxtaposition, isn't it? If you just glanced at these two piles, you'd have to assume they describe two completely different people.
Absolutely, no question.
One pile is cold, scientific, authoritative. The other is heated, messy, and incredibly vulnerable. But the fascinating thing, and the reason we are here today, is that these documents all belong to the same person.
The same person.
Seriously.
The same person. We are looking at the digital footprint and the personal writings of a 24-year-old man from Lincoln County, Kentucky, named Anthony Wayne Hayes III.
Wow.
And honestly, this might be one of the most human deep dives we've ever done. Because usually when we look at someone online, we see the polished version.
Oh, yeah, the highlight reel.
The Instagram highlight reel, the LinkedIn resume, the carefully curated public face.
Right, the best life version, where no one ever has a bad hair day.
Exactly. But with Anthony, we have access to something much more unfiltered. We have the duality of man right there on the page. We have the expert and we have the seeker. We have the Moonguy and we have the lonely heart.
Moonguy. I saw that name on the weather maps. That's his handle, his online name. That is his brand. When he is online talking about the weather, he is Moonguy. He is the local weather authority. And I think to really understand who Anthony is and to understand the story these documents tell, we have to start there.
With the weather.
We have to start with the weather. Because for Anthony, the weather isn't just small talk. It's a mission. It's a calling.
Okay, let's dig into the weather then, because I'm looking at this first alert forecast, and the first thing that jumps out at me is the tone. He isn't saying, hey guys, might need a jacket. He's saying, and I'm quoting here, Old Man Winter continues to have a stranglehold on Kentucky.
It's dramatic, right? It's almost Shakespearean.
It's very dramatic. It feels like he's narrating a war, a battle against the elements.
In a way, he is. And that's a crucial insight into his world. Anthony frames the weather as a battle between forces. You have the antagonist, Old Man Winter, who is actively trying to hurt the community with this this stranglehold.
Right.
And then you have the protagonist, which is Moonguy, the watchman on the wall, warning the town of the coming danger.
He uses a lot of imperative language, too. Slow down, use extra caution, bundle up. It feels like my dad talking to me before I drive back to college in a snowstorm.
It's very paternal, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think about that for a second. This is a 24-year-old guy.
Yeah, just 24.
We'll get into his personal struggles later.
Yeah.
But he faces significant challenges in his daily life. But here, in the Moonguy Command Center, that's what he calls his desk, he is the protector.
The Moonguy Command Center. I love that.
That's a great name. And in that command center, he is the one with the knowledge. He is the father figure to the whole county, telling everyone how to stay safe.
You mentioned the command center. That image, it implies he's got screens, data feeds, blinking lights. I mean, is he actually a meteorologist? Does he have a degree in this stuff?
He doesn't have a degree that we know of, no. But he has something that, in the internet age, is almost as powerful.
Which is?
He has access to the raw data, and he flaunts it. Look at this specific terminology he uses in that second document. He keeps referencing the NAM.
Yeah, I circled that. NAM. NAM. I assumed it was a typo or some acronym. I just didn't know. What is the NAM?
The NAM stands for the North American Mesoscale Model. It's one of the major short-range weather models run by the National Centers for Environmental Prediction, or NCEP.
Okay, so this is not the app on my iPhone.
No, not even close. Your iPhone app is taking a consensus of data from various models and giving you a cute little cloud icon with a number next to it. It's pre-digested.
It's the simplified version.
The NAM is a grid-based mathematical model that actual meteorologists use to predict things like atmospheric pressure, precipitation types, and wind shear over a specific region. It's the raw flour, not the baked cake.
And he's reading the raw flowers.
He's reading the flour. By citing the NAM, Anthony's doing something very specific and very clever. He's credentialing himself.
He's building his own authority.
Precisely. He's telling his audience, I'm not just looking out the window and guessing. I am looking at the same complex math that the guys on the TV news are looking at. It separates him from the casual observer. It elevates him to the level of authority.
That's fascinating. It's like a self-made certification.
It is. He's building his own platform, his own credibility, one forecast at a time.
And it's interesting because he combines that high-level science with very local, almost folksy storytelling. He talks about clipper systems.
Ah, the clipper system. This is a classic weather pattern for that part of the country, for Kentucky.
I've heard the term, but if I'm honest, I don't actually know what it is. Is it just a fast storm? Is that why it's called a clipper?
Essentially, yes.
Mm.
An Alberta clipper is a fast-moving, low-pressure system that usually originates in, well, as the name suggests, Alberta, Canada.
Okay, that makes sense.
And because it moves so fast, like the clipper ships of the 19th century, it doesn't have time to pick up a ton of moisture from, say, the Gulf of Mexico.
So it's not a huge snowstorm.
Usually not. Unlike a big nor'easter that sits over the Atlantic Ocean and just dumps 3 feet of snow, a clipper is often what meteorologists call a nuisance storm. A few inches of snow, maybe some sleet, but a lot of wind and a massive dramatic drop in temperature right behind it.
So it's a hit and run, a cold hit and run.
Exactly. And for someone like Anthony, who clearly values precision and order, the clipper is a fascinating villain to track. It's fast, it's aggressive, and it changes the landscape overnight. He tracks these troughs sweeping into the east with a lot of excitement in his writing. He talks about the frigid air behind it.
The frigid air. He uses that word a lot. I see it here. Temperatures feel frigid this morning, and here wind chills dipping into the single digits. It really paints a picture of a very hostile, very dangerous environment.
It does, and that hostility creates the need for a savior, or at least a guide, and that's where Moonguy comes in. But there is one specific threat he mentions over and over that I think is really important, maybe even metaphorically.
What's that?
Black ice.
Oh, the black ice is everywhere in these notes. He warns about moisture from a wintry mix refreezing on elevated surfaces, bridges and overpasses specifically.
Right. And what is black ice fundamentally?
It's ice you can't see. It's the most dangerous kind because the road looks like it's just wet, but if you hit it, you spin out. You lose all control.
Exactly. It is an invisible danger. It's a trap. And notice how obsessed Anthony is with pointing it out. He is shining a light on the things that can hurt you that you can't see.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Keep that in mind when we talk about his spiritual life later. He is constantly scanning the horizon for invisible threats, whether that's frozen pavement or spiritual warfare.
That's a really interesting connection. So in his weather reports, he's trying to map the minefield.
He is mapping the minefield for his neighbors. And there's a sense of rhythm to his forecasts, too. A narrative structure. Did you catch the part about the thaw?
Yes. After all the doom and gloom, all this talk about Old Man Winter and the stranglehold and the frigid temperatures, he says, we find a true thaw looking to take over for a bit.
A true thaw. Not just a temporary warm-up, a true one.
And he predicts temperatures in the 50s, which, after single digits, must feel like a tropical vacation.
This is the narrative arc of the weather, but I think it's also the narrative arc of hope. Endure the freeze, survive the black ice, and the thaw is coming. He offers a timeline for relief. Next week. It provides a container for the suffering.
So it's not just data, it's a story.
It's a story of endurance. It's cold now, but I have looked at the now model and I can promise you warmth is returning.
It must feel good to be able to promise that, to have that kind of certainty, to know that the cold isn't permanent.
I think it gives him a sense of control. Weather is chaotic. It kills people. It cancels plans. It's an overwhelming force of nature. But by naming it, by modeling it, by predicting it, Moonguy exerts control over the chaos. He tames the storm by understanding it.
Which brings us, I guess, to the other side of the table, because if the weather is where Anthony exerts control, this other pile of papers, this feels like the chaos he's trying to manage in his own life.
This is the unmapped territory, the personal weather system.
We have a document here titled The Search for a Christian Wife. And I have to say, calling it a search feels like an understatement. This reads more like a legal contract or a request for proposal, RFP, from a corporation.
It's incredibly structured. He is trying to apply the same Moonguy precision, the same data-driven approach to the messy, unpredictable world of human relationships.
It really is. So let's look at the requirements here. He is very clear about the demographics. He is 24. He describes himself as a country boy, and he wants a single woman in her 20s.
And proximity is key, too. He asks, is there any single woman who is near Lincoln County, Kentucky? He emphasizes, in all caps, not too far from where I live at.
He needs someone local, which makes sense. But then we get to the no kids rule. He writes, without no kids. The double negative there is, it's pretty emphatic.
It is. But he clarifies, he's ready for a family. He just wants to start from scratch. But there's one requirement that appears in almost every iteration of this plea, and honestly, it's the one that stopped me in my tracks.
I think I know which one you mean, the independent requirement.
Yes.
Yeah.
He specifies very clearly that the woman must be independent with her own home and vehicle.
Now, usually when we see these kind of, traditional country boy dating profiles, the dynamic is the opposite. The guy is posting a picture of his truck and his house, signaling that he can provide.
The provider role.
Right. I've got the resources, you bring the domesticity. But Anthony is flipping the script completely. He's saying, I need you to have the house and the car.
It's easy to read that and be cynical, to think, oh, he's looking for a sugar mama, or he's just looking for someone to take care of him financially. But I think that's a surface-level reading.
Okay.
We have to contextualize this with the medical information provided in the other documents.
Right. We know from this Lifeline of Hope document and some of his own prayers that Anthony has two primary diagnoses: autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, and spina bifida occulta.
And we should stop for a second and explain spina bifida occulta, because it's important. Most people, when they hear spina bifida, they think of a condition where the spine doesn't close properly, often leading to paralysis or visible physical differences.
Right.
But occulta means hidden.
Hidden, like the black ice.
Exactly. It is the mildest form of the condition, but mild is a relative term. It can still cause chronic back pain, weakness in the legs, fatigue, and issues with bowel or bladder control. It's a disability that isn't always obvious to the outside world, but it affects your daily logistics heavily.
So it's an invisible struggle.
A completely invisible struggle. So when he asks for a woman with a vehicle and a home...
He isn't necessarily asking for money. He's asking for accessibility.
That's what I think, yes. He might not be able to drive himself or not drive long distances. He might be living in a home that isn't set up for his future needs. Or he's stuck living with parents because he can't manage a household alone. He is looking for a partner who brings the infrastructure that he lacks.
That reframes it completely. It's not, I want a rich girl. It's, I want a set of legs and wheels that work so we can build a life together.
It's a helpmate in the most literal, pragmatic sense of the word. He needs a partner who can bridge the gap between his physical reality and his dreams for the future.
But then we have to talk about those dreams, because his vision for this marriage is, well, It's extremely specific and biologically explicit.
You're talking about the tubes untied comment.
Tubes untied. He says it repeatedly. It's a non-negotiable medical requirement for his future partner.
It's blunt, isn't it? There's no poetry to it.
It's shocking. You don't usually see that on a dating profile. Must like long walks on the beach and have fully functional, unobstructed fallopian tubes.
No, you definitely do not. But this speaks to his one flesh theology. Anthony seems to be a biblical literalist. We see this in his weather analysis. He looks at the raw data. In his faith, he looks at the Bible, specifically the first book, Genesis.
Be fruitful and multiply.
Exactly. To him, that isn't a suggestion. It's a command from God. It's part of the core mission of marriage.
He wants to raise a family in your ways. He talks about bringing new life into the world. It's clearly central to his entire worldview.
And notice, he doesn't just want the idea of a family. He lists the duties. He has clearly thought this through. He mentions changing diapers, late-night feedings, and picking them up from school.
That part actually touched me. Because a lot of guys, they want a legacy. They want a son to carry the family name. Anthony's talking about the drudgery, the hard work. He's thinking about the 3 a.m. shift.
It shows he has visualized the work, not just the romantic outcome. He views parenting as a vocation. He wants the job. But to get the job, he needs a coworker. And that coworker needs to be biologically viable.
Hence, tubes untied.
Hence, tubes untied. It's an algorithmic approach to love. Input, fertile wife, action, marriage, output, family. It's a formula.
Speaking of the action, though, we have to discuss how he describes the intimacy. Because he doesn't use euphemisms at all.
No, he does not. He is direct.
He talks about the one flesh concept, which is biblical, but then he takes it a step further and says, when I get married, I promise that all of my body parts is hers and all of her body parts is mine.
It sounds like a corporate merger of anatomy.
It is a total surrender of boundaries, a complete fusion.
And then there's the line that I think will stick with anyone who reads this. He talks about the act of conception. He doesn't say making love or being intimate. He says, I get to her egg.
I get to her egg.
And he adds, as if for clarification, and she'll moan because she likes it.
I know. When you first hear that, the instinct is to recoil a bit. It sounds aggressive or maybe pornographic or just odd.
It's all of those things.
But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think we are seeing the interception of his theology and his neurodivergence. Okay, break that down for me. What do you mean?
Well, think about how he processes information. He strips away the social fluff, the romantic language. What is the biological purpose of sex within a marriage aimed at procreation?
Fertilization.
Right. Getting sperm to the egg. I get to her egg. What is a common physiological response to pleasure?
Moaning.
She'll moan because she likes it. He is describing the mechanics of the event with the same scientific precision he uses to describe a clipper system moving across Kentucky.
So he's not trying to be dirty or creepy. He's just being accurate.
In his mind, yes. He's being literal. And crucially, he frames all of this within holy matrimony. He says he wants to show love in bed together with his future wife. He asks God to bless this union.
So it's not a hookup fantasy?
No, it's the opposite. He isn't writing this on a hookup site. He's writing it in a covenant prayer. He's inviting God into the bedroom.
It's like he's saying, this is the plan, God. This is the blueprint.
He is. He's saying, Lord, I want to do the thing you designed us to do. Exactly how you designed it. I want the mechanism to work. It's hyper-literal, but it's completely consistent with his worldview.
It's just, the contrast is wild. He treats the weather with this passionate, almost epic storytelling, old man winter's stranglehold, and he treats love and intimacy with this cold, mechanical precision, get to the egg. It's like he flipped the scripts.
That's a brilliant observation. He romanticizes the science of weather, and he mechanizes the romance of people.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe because the mechanics of people are so confusing to him. Weather follows laws. People don't.
They are confusing to him. We see that clearly in the notes about his social struggles. But before we get there, we have to talk about the stakes. Because for Anthony, this isn't just about being lonely. He feels like he is in a war. A spiritual war.
Spiritual battlefield. This is where the story gets really heavy.
We have a document where Anthony confesses his past. He calls himself a sinner man in the past. And he tells a very specific story about Walmart.
The Walmart incident. This feels like a pivotal moment in his personal narrative, a turning point.
He says, flat out, he stole gift cards at Walmart.
But look at how he explains the why. He doesn't say, I was broke or I wanted free money. He says, Satan got me to steal.
That's a big shift in responsibility. It's not, I did this, it's Satan made me do this.
It is. In psychology, we talk about the locus of control. Is it internal or external? For Anthony, the impulse to steal didn't come from inside. It was an external attack. It was a demonic influence. Satan was the active agent. Anthony was the vessel that was used.
But then he takes control back. He says, after that, I throw the gift cards in the trash after I got back home and ask Lord Jesus for forgiveness.
That image is so powerful. He steals the cards, gets home, and has this moment of profound guilt and realization. He doesn't use them. He doesn't even just hide them. He throws them in the trash. It's a ritualistic purging of the sin. He physically discards the temptation.
It's that cycle again. Temptation, fall, repentance. A very clear, defined process.
But it escalates beyond gift cards. This spiritual warfare gets much more intense. Anthony claims that he actually tried to sell his soul to Satan.
Twice. He says he did it twice, which is, that's a lot.
Once for fortune and fame, a pretty classic reason. And the second time, for a woman.
That stopped me cold. He was willing to bargain his eternal soul, which for a believer like him is the most valuable thing he owns. It's everything. Just to find a partner. Just to not be alone. That is a level of desperation that is hard to wrap your head around.
It turns his loneliness from a personal problem into a cosmic crisis. It's not just that he can't get a date for Friday night. It's that the devil himself is showing up and offering a solution.
Right.
It implies that Anthony feels the natural world, the normal way of dating, has failed him so completely that he has to go to the supernatural black market for a solution.
It's the Faustian bargain, the deal at the crossroads.
It is, but he emphasizes the victory. He frames this as a moment of triumph. He says, I refuse for my Lord Jesus Christ.
So he walked to the crossroads, looked the devil in the eye, and said, no.
That's the hero narrative he's built for himself. He frames his current singleness as a badge of honor. He could have had the woman if he'd sold out to the enemy, but he didn't. He chose Jesus.
And so now he feels he has earned the right to ask God directly for the helpmate.
Exactly. It's like a transaction. Lord, I stayed loyal when it was hardest. Now please send the independent woman with the SUV and the untied tubes.
It's a transaction. I paid my dues in resistance. Now pay me in companionship.
Precisely. But the payout hasn't arrived yet, and the waiting is excruciating.
And the waiting is complicated by who he is. We touched on the autism and spina bifida earlier, but I want to look more closely at how he describes his social interactions, because he is painfully self-aware.
He really is. He has a lucid, almost clinical understanding of his own friction points.
He lists his symptoms, his challenges. He says he struggles with too many crowds. But the one that really stood out to me was about conversation. He writes that he has trouble following when people talk different topics. And this is the kicker. He has trouble knowing when someone is done talking so I can speak up.
That is the classic definition of conversational turn-taking difficulty. It's a common challenge for people on the autism spectrum. For most of us, conversation is like a game of catch. It's fluid.
It's instinctual.
Right. You throw the ball, I catch it, I throw it back. We read hundreds of micro-expressions, pauses, shifts in tone of voice to know when it's our turn to speak or listen.
It's intuitive. We don't even think about it.
Exactly. But for Anthony, it's like he's playing catch in the dark. He can't see the ball coming. He doesn't know when to throw it back. He's constantly anxious that he's interrupting, or that he's missed the point, or that he's been silent for too long.
And he knows it. That's what breaks my heart about this. He knows he's doing it wrong, but he can't figure out how to do it right.
That's why he puts it right there in his dating manifesto. He asks God to prepare a woman who will understand him and be patient when he misses social cues.
It's a preemptive apology. He's basically saying to his future partner, I know I'm going to be awkward. I'm going to mess this up. Please send someone who won't leave when I do.
It reveals a deep, profound insecurity. He feels that his natural state is an obstacle to love. He needs a translator. He needs someone who can learn to speak Anthony.
And the stakes of not finding this person, they are literally life and death. We found this one note, a document called A Lifeline of Hope.
This was the hardest document to read, by far. It's a message of support from someone in his community, or maybe a note he wrote to himself, we're not sure. But it references flashbacks that make him feel suicidal.
And it lists the number for the 988 Crisis Lifeline.
And it says, and this line is so important, you are worth saving, and your future family needs you to stay strong.
Your future family needs you.
Think about the immense weight of that sentence. It anchors his survival to a family that doesn't exist yet. It tells him, you can't kill yourself, because if you do, those kids you dream of raising from the first book will never be born.
That puts an incredible amount of pressure on this search. If he doesn't find the wife, he doesn't just lose a partner, he loses his primary reason to stay alive.
It makes the search for a Christian wife feel less like a dating ad and more like a survival strategy. He is trying to build the life raft that will keep him afloat in these very dark waters.
When you look at it through that lens, the social anxiety, the suicidal thoughts, the feeling of being overwhelmed by the world, the Moonguy persona makes so much more sense. It clicks into place.
How so? What's the connection for you?
Well, think about the command center. In the command center, looking at the NAM model, there is no conversational turn-taking.
You're right. The weather doesn't interrupt you. It doesn't change the topic.
The weather follows rules. It follows the laws of physics, thermodynamics. If X happens, Y happens. It's logical, it's predictable if you have the right data. But people talk about different topics. People are messy. They're black ice.
That is a profound insight. The Moonguy identity is a safe harbor for him. When he is broadcasting his forecast, he is the authority. He is the one talking and everyone else is listening. He doesn't have to read social cues. He just has to read the radar.
It's the one place in his life where he isn't disabled or awkward. He's the expert. He's in control.
And that's why he clings to it. It's his armor. It's the persona that protects the vulnerable man underneath.
So we have these two worlds. The armor, which is the weather, and the wound, which is the personal search. Do you think he sees them as connected? Or are they totally separate compartments in his mind?
I think they are inextricably linked in his mind. I think he uses the language and the logic of one to process the other.
Give me an example of that.
Well, look at how he talks about the future. In his weather reports, no matter how bad the stranglehold of winter is, what does he always predict is on the horizon?
The thaw.
The thaw. He says, we find a true thaw looking to take over for a bit. He promises, with scientific certainty, that the frigid temperatures will break.
That in his personal life?
He believes in the exact same cycle. He is in the winter of his life right now. It's cold. He is lonely. He is struggling with sin. He is dealing with the black ice of depression and suicidal thoughts. But he has all the hope in the world that the thaw is coming.
The thaw being the wife, the family, the end of the loneliness.
Exactly. He believes that just as the Clipper system moves out and the warm front moves in, his luck is going to turn. God is going to send the warm front. It's his personal forecast.
Some hope for the end of your forecast. That was one of his sign-off lines in a weather report.
He's forecasting his own redemption. He's looking at the radar of his life, searching for that little blip of green, that sign of warmth that says she is coming.
When you put it all together, it's really a story about resilience, isn't it? About a profound, almost stubborn hope.
It is. It's about the stubborn refusal to accept that winter is a permanent state, that the freeze is forever.
You know, it challenges me a little bit. It's easy to look at his lists, the tubes untied, the car, the house, and it's easy to judge him. It's easy to sit back and say, this guy is delusional. Who writes a list like that?
It is easy to judge. But let me ask you this. Do you have a list?
I mean, I'm married now, but back in the day. Before that, sure, of course. I had a type. I had deal breakers.
We all have a list. We filter for height or income or political views or sense of humor. We swipe left on people who don't fit the model we have in our heads. We just hide our algorithm. We keep it internal. We dress it up and call it chemistry or having standards.
Anthony just prints his out for everyone to see.
Anthony lacks the social filter that tells him to hide the algorithm. He puts the source code right on the page. Input, independent woman. Input, functional reproductive system. Output, love. He is showing us the raw data of human desire.
And it makes us uncomfortable.
It makes us uncomfortable because it's too honest. It pulls back the curtain on the mechanics of what we all do in a much more subtle way.
It's the radical honesty of the Moonguy. He tells you exactly what the wind chill is going to be down to the degree, and he tells you exactly what his heart needs down to the last detail. No sugarcoating on either front.
And that's why, despite the jarring nature of some of these documents, you can't help but root for him.
You really can't. You find yourself wanting him to find her. You want to see that forecast change for him.
You want the thaw to arrive. You want him to be right about the forecast.
So as we wrap up, what is the big takeaway here? What do we learn from this deep dive into the world of Anthony Wayne Hayes III?
I think we learned about the fundamental human need to be known, truly known. Anthony is shouting into the digital void. He is using weather maps and dating ads and prayer requests to say one simple thing. I am here.
I exist.
I exist. I matter. I am protecting you from the storm. Please, someone come protect me.
That brings me back to the independent woman thing one last time. We talked about it as a need for logistics, a car, a house, a practical need. But maybe it's deeper than that?
Go on. What do you mean?
We live in a society that idolizes independence. We want to be self-made. We don't want to need anyone. But Anthony seems to understand something we often forget.
Which is what?
He knows he is dependent. He depends on God. He depends on his command center in the NA model. He depends on the 988 lifeline. And he knows he will depend on his wife. He's not ashamed of it.
He recognizes his interdependence.
Exactly. He isn't ashamed to say, I can't do this alone. He admits he needs a co-pilot. While the rest of the world is pretending to be a solo flight, he's openly looking for someone to share the cockpit.
That's a beautiful thought. The Moonguy Command Center is designed for 2 people. He just needs to find his mission specialist.
It is. And somewhere in Lincoln County, or not too far from it, the position is still open.
The application is online. And the forecast.
Highs in the 50s next week.
A true thaw.
A true thaw.
Let's hope he finds it.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 2 worlds of Anthony Hayes. It's a reminder that behind every screen name, behind every weather report, there is a human story waiting for the skies to clear up.
Stay safe on those bridges out there.
And watch out for black ice. We'll see you in the next deep dive.